All right, let's nerd out 33ers with some Q&A. This first question comes from Lucille Childs. The question is, what do you think, when do you think the bubble is going to burst on the cost of vinyl records? I got to be honest, I've given up on trying to guess when the vinyl bubble is going to burst. It seems to me at this point, as a bystander at this whole thing, that the record companies, the distributors, whatever, they can almost charge whatever they want, and people keep on buying and buying and buying. And you keep seeing that the stats for record sales are through the roof once again, and this year's another record, whatever. But it also seems to me at the same time that the record collector, there's been a noticeable shift in who is buying records. There's a lot more young people getting into this. And maybe the old timers, speaking for myself anyway, I've been buying fewer records just because of the price. And I think others too in my age group have been buying less because of the cost, or we've accumulated kind of what we've wanted from the back catalog stuff. I don't know, but there's fresh blood, and the fresh blood keeps on buying records, which is great. It's encouraging, but I'm also seeing signs that a percentage of record buyers are buying records as merchandise, right? And I think by jacking up the prices, maybe this is what the record labels are pushing vinyl as, not necessarily a platform, not necessarily something to listen to music on, but a piece of merchandise that you collect and you put on your wall and you stream music. I don't know. I do think that the price increases we have been seeing are not sustainable, right? You can't keep raising prices. Like here in Canada, for a new release, double LP, it's not uncommon to see the price tag on that being like 50 or 60 bucks, which is crazy. I've tapped out on that. My personal max is like $30 or $35. But people are still buying, as we said, as I said, every year we're seeing the stats that record sales have reached another new peak, another new record or whatever. So I don't think the bubble is going to burst anytime, but I think the prices are going to have to level off, and maybe they have already, because some of the prices I'm seeing are silly. But I think in terms of this resurgence of interest in records, particularly with the new generation or new generations getting into this, I don't think this revival or resurgence is going to end anytime soon. Just may look a little different.
Channel 33 RPM.
Here's a question for you 33ers. Have you heard of Sidetracked Workshop? These guys are the sponsors of today's video, and they make some awesome record storage consoles. Sidetracked Workshop handcrafts quality all-wood furniture in the USA. It's not flat-packed or bolted together stuff. These record consoles come to you fully assembled. You only need to screw on the feet, that's it, and shipping is free in the US. Dear 33ers, you spend a lot of time and money on your record collection. Show it off proudly in style with these beautiful mid-century modern designs. Head over to sidetrackedworkshop.com to learn more, and when you're ready to buy, use code 33RPM at checkout for 15% off. All right, this next question comes from Andrew, and Andrew asks, is there an album cover from a location that you'd like to visit? Man, I do a lot of videos about album artwork and album covers in real life and secret messages on album covers and all that kind of stuff. I'm really into album artwork. So yeah, there's definitely some album cover locations I would like to visit. My number one would be the location of Black Sabbath's debut album. The album cover was shot at a place called Maple Durham Watermill, which is in England. Apparently you can visit. If you go online, you see a ton of pictures of people visiting that location. I'd love to visit that. I'd also love to visit the location where the album cover for David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust was shot. And this was at 23 Hedden Street, which is apparently a small dead-end street in central London, again in England. That'd be cool. A couple other cool ones, or a few other cool ones, would be where the cover of Led Zeppelin's Houses of the Holy was shot. That was at Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland. Looks kind of cool. And in North America, I'd love to check out where the Ramones' Rocket to Russia, where that album cover was shot. Apparently that was taken outside the back door at the old CBGB's nightclub. That'd be cool. And finally, I don't know why, but I'd love to see where the cover of the Kiss album, Dressed to Kill, was shot. Again, it doesn't look like anything fantastic or spectacular, but I do think it'd be cool. It was shot on the southwest corner of West 23rd Street and 8th Avenue, looking north in New York City. So those are the album cover locations I would love to visit someday, and someday I will. This question comes from Ken, and he asks, what artist takes up the most real estate in your collection? And this is something I've never really thought about before. Tell me, move my chair, tell me if you can see where I'm at. It's gonna be like Black Sabbath or Kiss or Judas Priest. So let's see. My Black Sabbath goes from here to Black Sabbath goes from there to there. Okay, so let's say I got over 1 cube of Black Sabbath. Alice Cooper. I got a lot of Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper goes from here to here. So that's like a cube and that much. Alice Cooper and Black Sabbath are close, but there are more Black Sabbath. Could also be Kiss. I got a lot of Kiss. Kiss goes from here, so I got half a cube of Kiss there, and then Kiss continues in this cube and this cube. Okay, so definitely out of those so far, Kiss has the most. I'm curious about Judas Priest. Let's see where that would be. Judas Priest. Judas Priest is 1 cube. So there you go. I didn't even know the answer before you asked me to look, but apparently Kiss takes up the most real estate in my record collection. All right, Sean. Sean writes, most records are digitally mastered these days. Where do you stand on the digital analog debate? What sounds better to you, or you don't even care? This became oddly controversial a couple years ago when there were tons of people who talked about mobile fidelity and how the MoFi releases sounded the best because they were all analog. Then we found out that mobile fidelity was kind of fudging things and they actually weren't all analog and there was a digital step in there. So all that said, to my ears, pre-1985 records tend to sound the best. And the vast majority of those would be all analog, right? Recorded, mixed, mastered, pressed, listened to on the record to be all analog. And those records, for whatever reason, to my ears, sound bigger. They sound more inviting, if that makes sense. There's just something about them. That said, I've heard a lot of records post-1985 that do sound awesome, and I'm not going to fool myself. I know the vast majority of records I buy today, the reissues, the new releases, those are all digital, and a lot of them sound perfect. So to answer Sean's question, ultimately I don't really care, but I do prefer the sound of those pre-1985 records, just a warmth to them that I think sounds awesome. But it would be unrealistic for me to expect every record to sound like that, because a lot of the music I love was issued post-1985. All right, Bert Hanlon writes, if you had to listen to only one song for the rest of your life, what would it be? I actually gave this question quite a bit of thought, and my answer would surprise you, but I would say none. If I could only listen to one song for the rest of my life, I'd be like, I'm out. I don't want to listen to any songs. Because I know just listening to one song for the rest of my life would ruin that song and probably turn me off of music. It's like you hear a song on the radio so many times, you're like, I never want to hear that song again. So imagine only listening to one song for the rest of your life. It'd ruin music for me. So I would say I wouldn't pick any song and just remember the music I liked. So there you go. Okay, Glenn McKinnon writes, what's your dream system? Money is no option. This is another one of those where I don't spend a lot of time fantasizing or daydreaming about my ideal stereo system. There's stuff I'm curious about. I'd love to hear those new Techniques turntables. I'd love to hear a clear audio turntable. I'd love to hear a really nice tube amp, but I don't have a list of components that I would love to put together for a dream stereo system. I've always been more practical, I guess, where I'm like, if I can't afford this, I'm not even going to think about it. So that's not to say I don't want to upgrade my system. There's always upgrade paths we can all take. So the next thing I'm going to upgrade in my personal system are my speakers. But what I want, I don't know yet. But when it comes time for me to buy them, I will most definitely take you on that journey. Darren Hunt writes, what are your top 5 all-time favorite rock metal albums? This was a good one, and another one I gave a lot of thought to, and I'm going to talk about this with the caveat, or for my American friends, a caveat. I think that's how you guys say it. Caveat? I don't know. We say caveat. Anyway, so here are my top albums. My top 5. Darren asked for 5 all-time favorite rock metal albums. So the Black Sabbath debut album, I talked about that. That's probably one of my favorite albums of all time. Stone Cold classic, and basically Black Sabbath invented heavy metal with one album. Number 2 would be the Kiss debut record. Such a simply recorded album. Such killer tracks on there. It still sounds good after all these years. I love it. Then it would be, I'm cheating here. It's kind of tied. I want to say a Judas Priest record, but I'm tied between Screaming for Vengeance and Defenders of the Faith. I'm going to say Defenders of the Faith, but that could switch tomorrow. And then for number 4, it was going to be either Too Fast for Love or Shout at the Devil. I love those first 2 Motley Crue albums. Again, it's a coin toss between those 2. And then I had way too much trouble trying to pick a 5th, because there are so many different directions I could go in. So I'm not even going to pick a 5th. So there's 4, and there's like 20 other albums that are tied for 5th. All right, 33ers, how would you have answered these questions? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you're interested in supporting this channel, please do check out the Channel 33 RPM store. Just Google Channel 33 RPM store. Got a bunch of cool t-shirts there that I know would look good on you. Thank you for watching. I will be back again really soon. Until then, keep on spinning.